welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've had all the flavors today here on EUL, and I guess vanilla is one of them. G2 go up against Rogue, and we'll see if they can make it to Mexico to join their European counterparts, BDS and Team Empire. Welcome back. I'm Most the Medic, host for the show. With me are Hap and Jess, and how about we have a chat about these two squads, starting off with Rogue, who have not had the best of stages. The reverse Team Empire, as you want to call them.
Yeah, absolutely. Dead smack bottom of the leaderboard right now, and that is a really harsh thing to have to say about a squad that has two of my favorite players in it, Leon Gids and Aces. That's a historical match for me, that when they got put on this roster together, I was unstoppable on social media, in my DMs with all my friends saying, my two favorite players, my two favorite gunners, they're on the same team. I considered them a super team, and they super impressed in some stages and then just went the complete opposite. That is the perfect amount of balance, unfortunately, for Rogue, and well, that chaining of balance has meant that they are now on the bottom for this stage. They get some really highs of highs, and then they hit their really lows of lows, and stage 2 seems to be a kryptonite for them when it comes to the EUL season. They, of course, beat Unknights, but that is about it, and that was only in overtime. They have no regulation wins. Nothing to put to their name other than those measly 3 points.
Yeah, luckily they are not inside of a relegation battle yet, but that's yet to come. But yeah, on the other side we have G2, the newly formed roster, well, the changed roster, you can almost say. It's not really the European champions that we know, because there's been 3 changes ever since. Hungry, Kayak and Yonka, the new ones on the board. And they are a game away from making it to the 6 Major Mexico. They, were celebrating a bit prematurely. Last week, they were already getting the carambas out as well. Maracas, there we go.
The carambas is what's happening right now.
Something completely different. But 2 points is what they need.
2, okay.
1 could make it for them, but looking at how Vitality is coming quite closer, it's gonna be.
So we want a nice, clean 2 at least. So an overtime
2 points or a 3 point. Like, if they want to fight for you wanted to see them become champions of the European League. So let's just say they need 3 points, because that way they'll stay on par with Team Empire on the top of the board, which is, of course, good for overview, like overall standings, and then at the end of the year.
If we simplify it like Ace was doing in our last segment,
2 points.
2 points minimum, but let's just be honest.
But let's go for 3.
Let's go for 3. Yes. That's what G2 are really aiming in their heads. You don't really want to plan on overtime now, do you?
No.
Then suddenly it's a sprint race, which is a bit of a 50-50. Yeah, you could say so. It's the first one who gets 2 out of 3 rounds.
Fair.
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
Let's see then which map we'll be playing on in this series. Show me the money. 7 maps, 6 are down, 1 is left, and we're going to Chalet. Rogue's pick. At this point, nothing to lose. I get what they'd go.
How does G2 keep getting away with playing the same maps almost all the time? I get it. In stage 1, they were able to hide half of their map pool. I'm not sure what for, but anyway, there we go. But yeah, it didn't really work out for them. But they've come into stage 2, and they've almost done the exact same thing. I mean, pulling out a bunch of Clubhouse, bunch of Consulate. Now we have Chalet. I'm looking over it since February, and I mean, of course, with 6 invitational results involved as well, they've won it twice as much as they've lost it. So that's a good stat to look back on if you're thinking, okay, are they twice as likely to win it here? But they have a fierce opponent on a very good day. The trouble is, Rogue on a super good day is freakishly good. We just haven't seen that good day. It's just, when's the last time you've seen that happen?
I was just quickly checking, but it's actually the 5th map G2 is playing this season, this stage. So they haven't been showing. They have been showing quite a lot, actually.
Have they?
Yeah, they have been.
I must have missed the other one. Did they play Cafe? They did.
They did play Cafe. Let's go to head-to-head.
Yes, very quickly, because their lobby's ready. Well, host Hap, thank you very much.
I heard
Crying and Citizen.
I saw you wanting to
Go, Hap. It's all you. No, is it me? Is it you?
I want to take it.
Top 5?
Top 5 player in Citizen, Crying, the newly... again, roster superstar on the side of Rogue, which is doing well. I believe he's top rated off the team. However, Rogue not really having the best of stages right now. So it is it is going to be a difficult fight. You're playing literally against one of the best, well, maybe even 5 entry fraggers in the world currently.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think for Cryan right now, he has huge muscles. I know if you haven't met him in real life, he lifts a lot of weight. And it is incredible that he does, because he is trying to carry... Yeah, he is trying to carry Rogue on his back right now. And it's a bit of a shame. I do say that Leon and a couple of the other players are doing a lot of objective play as well. It's just not leading to round wins. So that might change today.
Corey has been very impressive with the lineup as well on Rogue at this stage. So let's see if Rogue...
TK'd yet.
He hasn't TK'd in a year.
Maybe that's the curse.
That's the curse.
Corey, please start TKing.
You just got to dome someone in the head. Round 1, hit it.
It's a sacrifice to the gods.
It is.
Let's see if G2 can actually rely on such a thing in their game. At the end, they want to win, and a win in regulation time is huge for G2, pretty much guarantees them 2 points even is more than enough, but seeding is also very important for Mexico. Just happening so very much. Our lobby's ready, so everybody toss it then to our casters. It's Des and Ace. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Big game today coming up for G2. For Rogue, maybe a little bit less so. It's been a rough stage for him so far, and I know that coming into today, Leon tweeted out early that 3 of the 5 players are a little bit under the weather, but that's no excuse. There is a game to be played on Chalet. I hope they've wrapped up warm, because this one is looking mighty cold. In fact, the audience giving Rogue the cold shoulder here. Ace, only 10% behind Rogue.
Yikes. I mean, the thing for Rogue now is this is all about building, Des. It's about building towards stage 3. You know, we've all, seen the comments from players on social media and whatnot saying that they know this has been a struggle of a stage and they've got a lot more to bring and it's going to be there in stage 3, and you just sort of hope that that is going to be the case. And these next 2 games are particularly important to set up a nice foundation for that and push them forward. But this is not going to be an easy one by any means. As we've said, G2, 2 points or more. So basically, any kind of win here today, overtime or regulation time for G2, will secure their spot at the Mexico Major. So these guys are going to be playing extra hard today to get this one done and to get themselves qualified so that the celebrations this time, Des, can stick. That's what they're going to be looking for. Sorry, Hungry.
He's held on to the hat. He's got the maracas at the ready. And this time he's like, right, guys, I guarantee you, if anyone on that team knows how they win today, it's him.
Absolutely.
Guarantee.
So, bands have come in: Zofia, Thatcher, Mira, and our last one. It's sometimes a little bit difficult to predict here on Chalet, because we do get a little bit of variation, but it will be Valkyrie, which is no surprise at all.
I do want to touch on for a second exactly how the overall EUL standings right now look in very last place. And this, of course, is only really comes into effect at the end of stage 3. Not only do the top 4 go through to the finals, but the bottom team auto-relegated out. The top team in CL will then make their way through. The team in ninth has to face the second place team in Challenger League in a bit of a showdown to see who stays. It was Rogue against M&M last year, and Rogue came away the winner. Unknights are currently the last with 14 points. Secret with 15 points sit above them in ninth. And then Rogue in 8th with 17 points, only 2 points above Secret. So I know this game on paper you might look at and go, oh, well, guys, there's a whole other stage to play yet. Why are we getting so worried? Every point matters come the end of the stage.
Always does.
Look back to last week when Secret versus Unknights. Secret leapfrogged over Unknights. That is just how tight things are starting to become. Let's see how things play out in this game. Then that Zofia ban, interesting one coming out. I think a bit of a target ban coming in against Rogue. But equally, you know, they're not exactly shy of playing it themselves from time to time. To me, if anything else, just suggesting that they've come into this map prepped and ready to play without the Zofia. I wonder if without the Ashe being as popular as she used to be, are we going to see no Ashe and Zofia on a map for the first time in, God, years of gameplay?
Certainly could be the case. I'm just looking at the numbers, as I always do. I noticed that Citizen comes into this game with 81 kills so far in stage 2.
You're thinking he'd get 19 kills, aren't you?
Maybe not here today, but he didn't quite make the 100 last time out. He does have an opportunity to make the 100 in stage 2 and to go one step further than he did last time. Now, interestingly, Des, I'll double check on this. Shaiko, 84 kills coming into today, I believe. Didn't he get 17?
He got at least 16.
So I think Shaiko's already hit the 100 a game faster than he did last time.
That's incredible. and think about what he could push on to, because I think the highest around the world was Alamo and Latam on 104, I believe, in 9 games.
Yeah, I think that should be 101 for Shaiko now. It is.
Blimey.
101.
Blimey.
Unbelievable. And Citizen can chase him down.
As he shot, I'm very sure that he shall. You and I had a good time on one of our content segments comparing the two. But enough talking around standings and players who are breaking the 100 kill club, because we do love looking at that at the end of the stage. Let's focus on what's going on here on Chalet. Rogue, I think the first time we've seen him here, G2, we've seen him play here quite a lot historically. Rogue on the attack, of course, has started to gear themselves up for an upstairs take. But like we saw from G2 just last week, they are playing themselves on the downstairs here, ideally with a C4 in hand, looking to deny a plant coming inside of Master and Office. But that, of course, requires them holding on to the downstairs. Ace, for Rogue, no doubt a part of that focus should be trying to deal with that man playing inside a kitchen.
Absolutely. Nice teamwork coming in from Rogue here. Got Rips underneath on the book, just opening up, taking out the Electroclaw, and then Corey ready on hand immediately to open up that balcony wall. Aces, he's on the outside, just ready to send in those Rotero drones to start taking down the utility. Particularly important will be the deployable shield. Virtue manages to hold on to it though, taking out the Rotero drone, and Virtue is a player that has gone from strength to strength in stage 2, Des. We've seen a massive curve of improvement from him.
Interesting one opening up the wall here as well, which will give Leon a better angle coming in. Can see if a man steps across ever so slightly. It's enough of that sight line that you'll catch the player playing behind the half wall. A super common spot. No one there right now, of course, as they have forced themselves back. And it feels like a battle of attrition. Like, you just know these drones are going to keep on coming. You're going to lose more and more gadgetry. You're going to get forced further and further back inside of sight until eventually someone snaps back. In this case, it's Citizen. And in case you're wondering, yes, him playing on the smoke is a normal thing. He did it last week on this map. Not playing with the shotgun, playing with the FMG primary, and he had a field day on this map last week.
Did 40 seconds left to go, and Citizen's now using that utility, just sending the Toxic Babe canisters into that default plant area to prevent Rogue's progress.
Ooh,
now then, a big double from Aces comes in. Not only does he remove Virtue from the tricky piano spot, he also takes down Citizen as well, but gets blitzed by Jonker as he tries to come in through that door. So that's leaving us now 3 versus 2. Advantage to G2, but Corey's able to go in and start getting the diffuser down. He actually dips away from it as Kayak pushes Crying and gets the kill. It's all down to Corey now on the Aces. 1 versus 2. Hungry takes down Kayak indeed and gives Corey the opportunity to put this diffuser down on the ground. He's going to get it activated here. Might be able to make the challenge.
What?
That's it. He's completely baited them there into the wrong location, but it doesn't matter as Jonker gets that final kill. He will disable that activated diffuser, and that's going to be G2 taking the first round.
Citizens putting into words what I was thinking. I was like, dude, you know he's against the wall. The guy's just run around and been team killed in front of his very eyes. Okay, I mean, one of those, no sound, fair enough, understandable in that situation if you didn't hear it from outside the room. Round 1 going G2's way on the defense, and not a bad attack from Rogue. I'll give that to them. Something we have observed throughout the season is, despite their downward trend in performance compared to the prior stage, that they have at times looked really good on the attack, I've thought. They do look aggressive. They can step forward like Aces did and suddenly pick up a 2K. It's the kind of thing that led them to a stage 1 first place finish back in 2020. It's just about whether or not you can actually get over the finish line, which I think, as Jess said at the start of the day, has been their main punishing factor throughout this stage.
Part of the problem for Rogue has really felt like it's been this teamwork element. They've been playing quite often as a set of individuals, whereas that round was beautiful teamwork. It was great. You had Rips underneath, opening up the floor, taking out the Electroclaw. Corey right there, positioned perfectly in time. Bang, on go the Selma charges. You've got the Flores drones coming in, clearing out lines of sight for Leon, taking utility down. It was very well worked as a team. It was certainly much more cohesive than we've seen them at some points, but they are, of course, playing into what will be a very difficult G2 defence, because they really have been flying so far. And if Citizen, for one particularly, can get his head up and start finding a few more kills, it could become one of those days for Rogue. But it wasn't a terrible first round for them.
No, with an FMG nonetheless as well, the one to watch out for on Citizen's side. But now we step into not the same site. We are indeed just below, down inside dining and kitchen, which is defended much the same way, where you will have this vertical set up on the go. You will again see the Kaid Electroclaws down on this south side wall looking in towards mezzanine. And again, you've got the vertical holes being opened up. So lots to challenge, and that's unfortunate. Citizen disconnecting at the start of the round. One that's going to kick you a little bit. Imagine that will kick in the next round. But at least for now, things will play, I believe, in the 5 versus 4.
Hungry calls a rehost, which will come through. We were within the first 30 seconds of the round when we lost Citizen, and there was no damage done to anybody. There were no lives lost or anything at that point in time. So we will, of course, get everybody out, get everybody back in, and then we will be back underway. G2 just 1-0 up at the minute against Rogue, and a good defence from them, although Rogue were able to get the diffuser down and activated. They were in a situation at that point where it was 1v2, so not ideal, but still, they weren't a million miles away, Rogue.
No, I always look at it, and probably did for most of last week, and generally I think it is since we've seen Flores come in, is that the constant threat of those Rotero drones just taking out a shield and forcing you ever so slightly back, getting in there and getting rid of a bulletproof and some barbed wire, forcing you ever so slightly further back, clearing out ADSs so you can no longer play these key positions in sight. It's all about just slowly forcing defending teams further and further back until you feel comfortable enough to go for the execute. That seems to be how a lot of teams are playing it out these days, and where the real strength comes in the defenders is at what point they snap back. When do they go for that retake, as you might want to call it, or regain lost ground? And I like it how you can kind of see the front line on a map these days kind of moving back and forth as those things come into it. That's the really enjoyable part, and you saw it a lot in round one.
That's it. It's like you say, it's the ebb and flow. Where is that sort of line of battle drawn, and how much do you sacrifice to keep it in place, or do you just take your retreat a little bit and start again? And like you say, G2 very, very good at managing that ebb and flow during that round, it has to be said. Although, like you say, Rogue had those moments of explosion and were able to just up the tempo, get a couple of kills, inject some pace into it and say, no, we are taking this ground, we are stepping forward, and get it opened up. I mean, looking forward for the rest of the game, hopefully we'll see that teamwork continue from Rogue. We don't want to see them devolve back into this process of playing as sort of 5 individuals. We want to see them just keep up that sort of crossfire, that developing kill boxes, making it difficult for the defenders. They had the default plant area, they had it really nicely sectioned off. You had Aces up on the door, you had Leon with a line of sight all the way through to that door, and then you had the breach itself, and they had that area sectioned off really nice, especially when they'd got Crying dead and off the piano. It just really opened things up for them, but it was not to be on that round.
Absolutely. We can hear the ticking in our ears, by the way, which does suggest we will be getting back into things very shortly. So thanks for sticking with us in case you tuned in and wondering what the hell's going on. G2 had a bit of a disconnect at the start of the round, so have been granted the rehost as it was within the first 30 seconds of the regular round where no one was dead. Nothing had gone particularly crazy at the start of the round, so they are allowed the rehost in that case. I can hear him dinging back in my ears, so I know that we're ready in just a second. Round number 2, we mentioned we're going from playing in master and office to downstairs, inside, dining and kitchen. We know that in the prior round as well, thinking about it, they had that C4 player downstairs that was never really needed, wasn't really called on in that case, and G2 ended the round in a 3 versus 1. I wonder if in this round it's going to be a different story, because we saw just how easy Rogue got inside the lobby, got underneath the reinforced wall upstairs, shot out the electro claw, that got opened up. It wasn't really much of an obstacle for Rogue.
No, I mean, as you say, it was never really needed, but never really challenged either. And that does raise the question of, would you get away with that next time?
Yeah.
If Rogue ignore that player again, are they going to get away with it in the same way? And, you'd have to say the answer's probably not, because G2, even though they won the round, are going to dissect that, and they're going to say, look, we still had this in pocket. We could make use of that. We could squeeze a bit more out. It was
an option.
We could squeeze a bit more out of that defence. And I think if they find themselves in that same position, that's probably exactly what they'll try to do.
And speaking about finding things out of defences, I do want to touch on something Vitality did last week against G2, because it was really cool. The fear of G2 bringing along the Monty. They didn't. They played things like the Lion, the Capital, for example, Hungry being the true flex player on the team. But on the other side, we touched on a comp that got brought along by Vitality, which included a Clash and an Oryx. And we said at the time, on a map where you've got lots of little tight turns from Monty, for example, Oryx, fantastic. Charge him down, shield break, gun him to pieces so that shield is no longer in play, and you've got the Clash to also threaten or keep him at bay. So having those multiple option setups, I really enjoy seeing. So like you're speaking about the kind of viability of multiple options in a round to help you win it, whether it's the C4 play, the challenge of Citizen behind a shield on the rotate, for example, just giving yourself multiple, I suppose, edges over the other side, multiple problems for them to solve is one good way to get over the finish line. And that is the end of our finish line. Talking about this filling rehost segment. We're back into game. I can hear it loading up in my ears. So we'll get underway again with round number 2, going to be the downstairs defense of kitchen and dining, to see us as we get through into the game in just a second, I'm sure. I promise. Oh, did you not press the start casters button?
No.
Start game burn.
That's you press that.
Which one is it? Oh, this one again. That's it. There you go. Sorry guys. Forgot to change the scene over. Sorted. We're back in. Kitchen and dining as mentioned. We're seeing the Kai coming out again. That Frost and the Echo on side. And the IQ, something that kind of danced back and forth a little bit in a couple of games last week. I think I was theorising, I think it was with Jess behind the scenes last week, just saying, what could you do to IQ to make it quite a staple pick again? Because right now she's only really picked by one or two teams and relatively selectively against a team like G2. You need it because you know that Kayak plays a lot of Echo. But what could you do to her to bring her back into things? And everyone's like, bring her the frags back. I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, I think the big question with IQ has always been, and I don't know that you'd put her into a better place by changing this. I think it could be a new problem in itself. And that is that IQ demands teamwork.
Yes.
So IQ can identify the gadgets, but at least 50% of the time, can't do anything about them. If they're on the other side of a soft surface, there's nothing she can do about it, except give that information to teammates, which isn't necessarily, for players at professional level, obviously it's reasonably easy, but to give accurate information as to exactly where that gadget is, you can't ping it, for example, because it's through a surface, so you can't get that view to be able to ping it out to show where it is. So there is a strong teamwork requirement quite a lot of the time for IQ.
You can't get it.
If you were to give her an opportunity to be able to do something about that herself, it may improve her as an operator, but I don't know if it might just make her a little bit too oppressive. Unless it was very strictly limited to maybe one or two that you could clear through a hard surface or something.
Operator Design Workshop with Des and Ace. It's no longer an EUL stream, ladies and gents. We have taken over. We're talking about changing IQ. But while all that's been going on, Rogue have been getting underneath matters here, quite literally in this case, into Snowmobile Garage, getting their way up the lobby stairs. We mentioned about the importance of getting control of lobby here, so you can then get yourself underneath this double wall, shoot at the floor with the buck, and then open up and destroy the Electro Claw, and then open the wall up not long after. Here we go, though. Belushi Banshee already been removed out by the Rotero, nice and easy. I think if they'd known about the ADS, so they could have got it between the two of them. In this case, you've got Yonkers who's slightly, I don't want to say dangerously positioned. He has got support, but will get forced to move by the Rotero as thought you might. Now plays back behind the half wall. They'll just keep on moving him back here by making it progressively harder for him to hold put. He just really wants to challenge the man. He wants to get rid of the Electro Claw.
Leon does a lot of damage there. About 60 health gone from Jonker. And again, good teamwork from Rogue. That line of sight opened up by the Rotero drone underneath, and Leon was waiting there ready to pounce should Jonker move back into that position, which he did. They've got an opportunity to open up one wall. We've got exactly the situation that we were just talking about there. Cryan able to use the yellow ping to give a rough idea of where that Electroclaw has been positioned, but unable to do anything himself about it on the IQ. Now, Leon, he will move underneath. Teamwork again, get that opened up. So for the time being, it's open up the wall into office, clear Jonker out, get vertical control, and then move downstairs and open up main lobby.
I love how you speak about the time. 1:40 it took them to get that wall open because Jonker was being such a pain in the backside, sat at the very front of that wall, contesting that vertical angle. Really smart. Now that's cleared out on the downstairs, you'll start seeing some movements coming in. Nade coming in to help clear out more of that utility. So good progress by Rogue, but again, somewhat nervous about the time here. Virtue almost getting himself taken out by the Rotero a little bit there as well. The shield removing it away. That should give some agency to Cryan now if he wants to step in and go for a challenge without fear of a shield staring him down as Aces vaults his way inside of office. They're getting a move on Ace, but there's only 40 seconds left.
Aces has got the long angle through Piano there. There is a man from G2 just playing inside a bathroom, but there's absolutely no reason whatsoever for Virtue to peek it, but he does, and he gets shut down. However, Citizen is on hand with the Malusi to get the trade, leaving us 4 versus 3. 25 seconds left to go, and Rogue don't have control over the plant spot yet. This is not going to be an easy final push for them. Leon, look at that teamwork again. Corey goes in, opens up the Banshee. Leon on hand to take it down, gets the Yokai, and that's going to be Corey able to try and get this diffuser down. Out comes the Nitro unsuccessfully. Corey will manage to secure that. Hungry gets one in the meanwhile, but it is a trade, leaving Kayak 1 versus 3. Diffuser down. A lot of work for the Echo to do here.
Absolutely all alone as well, the 1 versus 3 in about 20 seconds here to get the kills and stick the defuse. It's simply not going to happen. Well played by Rogue. Again, good resistance coming out of G2. But as soon as Leon goes crouch walking into sight, you're left in a bit of a danger spot there, unable to do much about it. 1-1 then, going into round number 3.
I really didn't think they had enough site control to necessarily think about getting that diffuser down, but they showed how little they actually needed there. They took what they had and they achieved an awful lot with it. Leon on the door. I love the teamwork to take the Banshee out. Corey pushes his way in. The Banshee opens up. Leon shoots it out so that Corey can just focus on getting the diffuser down. It was just all very, very nicely played from Rogue.
You know, just clocked, by the way, is a very random thing. Look at the size of Crying's forearms. Those arms have seen a good few peaks in their lifetime. He's been like swinging onto people and being like, bam!
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
I feel like if he shot his mouse across his desk to like peek onto somebody and he like got too close to the wall, he'd just go straight through the wall.
Just take it out, mate. Concrete
He'd just
or
go
not.
straight through the wall and still get the kill.
Best just pray his neighbour's got a desk on the other side of the wall.
Just carries on straight.
That's it. Extra wide swing capability. That's all it is. Phenomenal. Right, well, with that little side tangent off and put to bed, let's have a look then at how round number 3 is going to play out. Citizen returning back onto that smoke, again with the FMG on side. If you did miss this last week, I fully encourage going back to watch it, by the way. He hit an absolutely beautiful triple kill on the mezzanine, if you recall. Just flick central coming out of him. Obviously not being contested by Crying, apparently with those forearms, the master of it. Time will tell. Bar gaming going to be where we set up for in round number 3. So for G2, you've got, this is exactly where he played last week as well, sat behind the shield. Now he got domed off a couple of times or naded out by players coming in from the library stairs window. So that's one to watch out for. How fast can they clear him out of there? Because as we've seen in the first 2 rounds, admittedly because of the sights, Rogue absolutely love going in from below or getting control of lobby and then working their way northwards.
We've got Citizen playing on the mezzanine at the minute, just above the fireplace. We see him here in behind his deployable shield. It was a position that was difficult to move him from previously.
Yeah.
We saw him rotate around to the balcony, just in front of balcony wall, challenge down onto main stairs. He really did dominate this area, so that's something that Rogue need to focus on.
And also the fact there are 2 ADSs now on that library stairs window, plus the Aruni laser gates. That's a lot of potential utility catch for the side of Rogue to deal with. They're going to have to clear through them or find a different angle through. And apparently their go-to answer is going to be, let's find that alternative angle through. They burn their hard breach on getting open this office wall, and now can look for that kind of grenade to just razz it round the corner, try and catch out the shield, for example. You still got to consider there is an ADS there, so it's going to be stacking utility together that is really going to help them get through.
Now then, Jonker's downstairs on the Aruni. I'm not sure how aware Rogue are or are not of that. Leon did have a little look down those basement stairs, but chose not to continue on his push down there for the time being. He's just sat on the Ayana using the drone there to try and gather information, but it could well be that we've got a little game of cat and mouse developing there. Hungry, he's established on the library stairs, looking to make the challenge on towards Aces, and what he's doing, he's just trying to make it as difficult as possible for Rogue to establish themselves in library and get any vertical control with Citizen as well.
He's playing Hungry Hippos with the Retiro drones. Every time one stepped out, or normal drones in some cases too, whenever they've stepped out down into that library kind of hallway, snap. It's like mashing that button. I'm sure you played that game as a kid, right? You remember Hungry Hippos? It's fantastic.
I don't play it as a kid. I play it now with my child.
That's why you've had a kid, mate, just to keep on playing Hungry Hippos the whole time. Still, though, you are right. They want to get this control out towards the west, and Hungry was on his way down. Finds the kill onto Leon, who got a bit too keen, maybe. Kayak one with the C4, and now finally Rogue have found the control they need, but Hungry, I think he's still holding close here. In fact, no, I thought it was Citizen for a second, but no, it is Hungry, sorry, because he's on the Malusi this round. It was Citizen on the prior. Now they've got that control. Retiro's coming out again, no doubt, to get rid of these Malusi Banshees. We're going to carry on downstairs. Perhaps not. They'll rely on shooting it instead. I'm always worried about that. If you leave it up and go to just walk into it and shoot it out, that someone's going to swing you the second they hear it go off.
Got to remember that we've got Jonker down in the basement as well. Crying taking a lot of damage there, but he does manage to find the kill onto Kayak, leveling us out at 3 versus 3. 18 seconds left to go. Aces is well aware of Jonker on the stairs. Takes a swing, does not get the kill, and will try again, but somehow Jonker, he escapes, and that's big, Des, because there's not too much they can do about that right now because of the time. Citizen gets one onto Rips, and time is ticking away. 1 second left to go. They have to stick this. Ace is getting the diffuser down. It's 1 versus 3. It's done. As that man Jonker, as I said, in the basement all along, was always a problem that Rogue never managed to find the solution for.
Just very comfortably there, shoehorning them in and saying, come, my children, step down through library stairs and come through this single tight doorway that we can blast you in the face as soon as you step through. It's all a little bit too clean and easy for G2 there, with full control still of Bar. They didn't have anyone playing inside a split, admittedly, down to the south, but that didn't really seem to be a big issue for them. Just happy, playing through those soft walls that have been opened up between sites. Almost a great example there, Ace, of why you don't reinforce between sites. Another good round for G2 at 2-1. That's kind of the rotation that you expect.
It is. G2 going pretty well there. They're going to head back up to Master this time around. That's the site that they won back in round number 1. We did see a good attempt on this from Rogue, and with a few adaptations, there certainly is an opportunity there for them to get this on the board and to level things up at 2 versus 2 in terms of the scoreline. It's looking very quickly like a similar setup coming in from G2, if not identical. Deployable shield on the piano. We'll no doubt have Virtue playing in behind that on the Jaeger. We've got the laser gates to prevent too much access coming in quickly into piano. We will see the normal breach area all reinforced by Jonker. Now, the only difference here, Des, is no Kaid this time around. It's going to be down to Kayak on the mute to keep that breach out of there.
You touch on that. That was my kind of coming in comment for this round, is like Hungry is like the augment player or the mod player. It's like when you play a game that's got a gun in it and you can strap a mod on there and it completely changes how it plays out. The other 4 players play very much a core setup. It's almost like central to most of the strats that you'll see G2 running. Whereas Hungry is the one player that, whether it's on attack or defense, you can change him out and completely change the flavor of the attack. Look when they play like Capital, for example, versus a Lion or versus a Monty. It's all quite transformational in how their rounds then play out. And here with the Clash on side, it's a completely different challenge where G2 feel that Rogue have now, after 2 rounds, have figured out we can deal with this Kaid Electroclaw stuff. It's not really a problem. Okay, cool, they've cracked that puzzle. Let's give them a new one. Here's a Clash to try and deal with that now Rogue, without something like a Zofia, are going to have to find quite a unique way of getting through.
And as Kayak pointed out in one of his interviews previously, he said that's one of the great things about playing with Hungry. He's got so much experience that he'll just turn up and say, yep, I'll play the Clash. Yep, I'll play the Kaid. Yep, no problem. And he just goes in, and as you say, he's very much
if this were
transformational
Pokemon,
in that
he'd
way.
be Ditto.
Absolutely that. So we are in round number 4 now, a minute inside. Rogue not making quick progress inside of the map this time. They're going cautiously, nothing wrong with that, just looking to gather their information now then. Get a good spot onto Virtue there. Ace is aware of exactly where the man is playing. Could look to get aggressive onto it, but just slows himself down a little bit. He's just going to hold fire for now and try to just assist getting this wall open.
They've seen for so long on this drone as well. They know exactly where Virtue's holding, but this is the strength of this position, is how easily can you remove him? The answer generally is not very. Not without Aces trying to burst his way through the door and being shot from someone on the north site. Not through this wall to the west until it starts getting opened up. So it's going to require almost pinpoint team play for Aces to peek the door at the second someone manages to force him to run away because they start opening the wall. So lots to think about.
They've got the ping actively on Virtue there, and you've got Rips underneath. For the time being, he's done the right thing. He's got to clear off those mute jammers, but you've got to wonder, is there a point that he's going to come and try to take a challenge onto Virtue from underneath there? Because he's sort of looking and waiting, but he has to clear Citizen out if he wants to do that.
And he really wants Virtue. Yeah, the vertical angle's being held by Citizen potentially. I don't know if they're running on the door. I know there was Barb, for example. Yes, I'm pretty sure there is, just to try and keep Virtue safe inside there for now. There is indeed. It's now been taken out and is forced to run. This is the kind of team play that I was on about before, but he knew that someone peeking him from that doorway doesn't find the kill. Instead, it's going to be Rips at the angle to find Citizen, and Corey from the longer angle taking out Virtue.
That was well played. Rips just going in and get a perfectly timed kill onto Citizen, because at that point Virtue knows his cover is gone and he needs to think about moving, and as soon as he tries to do that, Corey shuts him down as well. Great play from Rogue. Corey goes in and starts getting the diffuser down. We've got a kill going in either direction, leaving us 4 versus 2. Out comes a big nitro from Kayak there to get Leon, but they will not prevent the diffuser going down. Jonker, he's having a great game so far today. Some important kills. Manages to get Rips, leaving us 2 versus 2. Active diffuser down on the ground. It's all up to G2 to close this one out. Jonker getting aggressive onto that office door. Cannot find the angle onto the man, and now finds himself all alone. Shut down from the window, and that is a great kill from Corey on the balcony to close out what has been a good round for Rogue.
It was indeed. Again, they seem pretty comfortable attacking up towards these north side sites. I mean, admittedly, both play out quite similarly. But with the use of those Rotero drones again and again, they have been the difference maker, not just today or throughout the stage. Well, sorry, not just today, but throughout the stage as well. Look again at what it did to Virtue. He was very happily sat behind half wall. Normally, he'd have to commit something like frag grenades in there to make him move, which means burning through ADSs first. It can just be a bit of a headache, but sending in one tiny little boom bot Makes Virtue move, makes him start stepping out to take longer challenges, gets domed, the longer one comes through from all the way back at Pillar, and that then opens up all of Office. All that started from one single Rotero drone. Just goes to show just how impactful Flores has been in this stage.
Certainly does. We're going to be heading back down to dining and kitchen for round number 5. Then G2 on the defence. We saw this site back in round 2, and Rogue were able to get the diffuser down and win the round. So G2 certainly an argument to be made that they're on the back foot a little bit here. If Rogue can come out and take another solid attack onto this site and get it on the board, then you start looking at this thinking that's a split half at absolute best for G2. Let's not forget, they need a win. Any sort of win, overtime, regulation, doesn't matter. Any win will do for them to get them qualified for Mexico. But if they don't get the win here, the pressure could be on, depending what happens, particularly in that Vitality game that comes up next.
That's the scary one that we've been talking about, right? The Vitality can play the wedding crashes in a way, I think. Looking at for Na'Vi was the one that we were afraid about. You know, Na'Vi are now lost to Empire. Vitality win this next game and win next week, and Na'Vi lose to BDS. They lose the spot to Vitality. There is by no means saying that this is absolutely locked in. You need to win today to be safe, of which BDS and Empire have already done. So now it's kind of G2 and Na'Vi who sit in the firing lines for teams like Vitality.
Ace is just peeking in from the main door, trying to get a long angle, see if he can get anybody whilst they're rotating on the defence. But he won't catch G2 out that easily. Instead, he's going to head up to that top floor balcony once again and look to send in the Rotero drones to clear out Jonker, clear out utility. And again, it will be the same process from Rogue here. It's going to be get a Selma device onto that wall from Corey, open it up, force out top floor, and then breach the wall directly underneath just inside the main door to open up access to the B-site plant spot.
The one fear is you've now got the mute jammers playing just inside of that balcony door, so it's not so easy to get the Roteros through. So one thing to watch out for on the side of Rogue is how fast or how easily they can deal with that mute jammer. On side of site itself, there is no doubt going to be utility strewn around. As you can see, the Evil Eye currently watching everything. It sees all. Maybe it's why you call it evil. Maybe also that it shoots lasers at people. Probably a big contributor in that factor as well. But about 1 minute and 30 to go. They've done at least a starting point, and you can see the members of G2 scattering down Solarium stairs now, rotating around, moving themselves into key positions. And these mute jammers proving to be quite pesky. This is why you need Leon below to get rid of them, to enable them to actually finally get this office wall opened up.
And that is exactly what will happen as we hear the Selma device activate. That could potentially force Jonker away, but he's quite happy to hold on to his position behind that half wall for the time being. In comes the Rotero drone, forces him to move. Great teamwork. Jonker takes a lot of damage there, but Corey unable to find the headshot, and I love this from Jonker, just getting so aggressive there, crying. However, finds the first. Leon doubles down with the nade to finish off Jonker. 5 versus 3 within a matter of seconds there.
It's just boiled down to it. Again, the team play from Rogue, phenomenal. The Roteros, again, get it all going. Grenades come singing in. Challenges are taken. That's everything that you want to see. It is 2-2, don't forget as well. So if Rogue take this one, they pull ahead. A big advantage to have against a team like G2. Now, Citizen's looking to get aggressive. They know they've lost ground. He knows that he needs to regain some of it. Rotero comes round, deploys itself. That's going to be him. Delayed for a good few seconds. Rotates instead to try and push his way in through Master. These rotates are still open, of course, so you have the opportunity to step in and go for a bit of a challenge. But in comes Leon. Long angles there. Sees the Maestro. He fires first. 2 kills come out. This could be a flawless round for Rogue as well. A 1 versus 5. Plant going down from Corey. Very little response left to give. It's going to be 5 kills for him to bring it back. Simply not going to happen. Rogue with yet another phenomenal attack. Take the round against G2.
Great, right? I mean, we can't heap enough praise on Rogue at the minute inside of this game on the attack.
You know what this screams to me? Counter prep. Time and time again. They've gone back and watched G2 play this map 3-4 times since SI, like they did against BDS in Stage 1 last year, and have gone, okay, we can see what their tendencies are, we can see where they like to play. How do we apply the pressure that makes this work so well for us? And the Roteros, again, are the key to it all. They just enable nades to be thrown, gunfights to be taken, people to move forward aggressively. They're playing it really well. Really, really well.
I'm enjoying watching this, Rogue. Definitely am. There's, you know, the team play and the way that they're interconnecting each other and using the abilities, creating those crossfires and forcing players in and out of problems on the G2 side. It's great to see.
And look at the threes all the way down their kills scoreboard right
Very
now. Very
even across, with Cryan just stepping up and getting himself
a couple more.
A couple more as well. And only 1 death for Corey, 1 death for Cryan.
But this is what I love, right, is that you've had Leon playing the Ana from below and finding kills from below. You've had Corey a couple of times sat back behind Pillar, finding the long-range kills. You've had Cryin doing, well, what Cryin does best. And Aces had that big 2K coming in through balcony door in the first round. It's been all in different locations, but you're seeing each of those positions and what they're doing. Not just support the other players, but also be the positions that go on and get the kills they need sometimes. Really good to see.
We have lost a few numbers on the scoreboard, just totting it up mentally. It doesn't quite make sense. Corey and Cryin must have 2 deaths. So because of the rehost, we have lost the scores from round 1.
Cryin will happily say forget about those deaths.
Yeah,
5 and 1, okay?
He's maybe 5 and 2, unless he got a kill inside of round 1, in which case he'd obviously be more than 5 and 2.
Small adaptation this round, by the way. They've now reinforced the snowmobile garage door, so where that was less soft previously. If you remember, it was when the big war around lobby kind of ensued, when they just blasted the way straight in, walked up the lobby stairs, and then looked to contest. Now that G2 have reinforced it off, forces a decision for Rogue. What do you use those Selmas that you've got for, as they are the only hard breach that you've got on this map?
Rips his pressure in Piano there, but he's not going to get any joy because there's nobody playing inside of there. They're aware of that now, as I think it's Corey moving in. No, Leon moving in on the top floor. Sorry, Corey is in tow as well. So we've got 2 just moving in. Leon gets aggressive, moving down those solarium stairs as well. Moving into Trophy and looking to pressure from this north side, clear out kitchen and dining and force the defenders all the way back into sight, taking out default cams as he goes. Just looking to find anybody that he might be able to catch out lurking underneath. And
what do they know?
Little does he know, just on the angle to the hard right, he doesn't know he's going to get caught out. You gotta drone it. Virtue with an easy kill, headshot onto Leon, and then he's just going to dip away, and he's going to keep himself skulking in the shadows there of the basement to pop up and cause a bigger problem later in the round.
Oh, that'll be a kicker there, like you say, misdroning, because he's so confident, because he's got a live drone or 2 in front of him, letting him know what lays on the path ahead. But clearly one did not check the corner of that elbow corridor, and it strikes big. One going down early on, not the end of the world, but definitely a disadvantage for Rogue here. Let's see if G2 can hold on to round end.
Hungry, he's just playing around on those library stairs again, similar to how we've seen previously. Doesn't overextend himself, he's just giving them a little bit of something to bite at, let them know that he's there. Out comes the Nitro unsuccessfully, can't quite reach it far enough. Citizen, he's going to be supporting Hungry, he's not going to allow anybody to push any further than that double door towards the man. Plays the Toxic Babe canister out, he's going to have to dip out of there to keep himself alive, and what a kill that is on the reverse angle to get the trade for Corey, who just found Kayak. 45 seconds left to go here, and Rogue at a man disadvantage.
That bounce inside a split, I would have been absolutely ecstatic, but it wasn't quite the case. Still 1 frag left on side with 30 seconds to play, as you say. This man they need to get rid of that's playing in split, else he's going to stop them from being able to run him, but they've got problems elsewhere, Ace. Still, outside the actual site itself, they're being terrorised, and now they've got control of mezzanine, the floor can be opened up. Rips quite literally living up to his name, ripping some holes in the floor and trying to expose these G2 members that are playing on site, but they are just dancing around for now. I think one's playing up here on the snowmobile stairs could be a massive spoiler for them if they aren't too careful. 10 seconds to play, and they've got to make the move come in right now. Rip starting to work his way down, others pushing in elsewhere. Hungry down to a slither of HP. Aces finds one back. Here comes the flank in the back. Down goes the diffuser. Virtue playing the patience game, and it pays off.
Another good round from Virtue there. I just like what he did in getting that opening kill onto Leon, and he knew that his job was largely done at that point. At least for that stage of the round. Now my time to shine is the end of the round, so he just gets himself out of there again, gets himself off the grid, off the radar, away from those drones, and then just pops back up at the end to finish it. But a good couple of kills coming in on site for G2 as well, and able to really get up in the faces of Rogue. So that's going to level things out 3-3 at the half. Now G2, they're going to have to do something a little bit different here. Obviously, they're on the attack now. That might just change the momentum for them a little bit. But Rogue, they've been looking pretty solid. And if, for my money, I think you're going to play anywhere sort of better as a team, it's going to be on the defence.
I think so. What makes me slightly nervous is the map. We know that this map, and I hate the narrative of, oh, this map's attack leaning, or that map's always defender leaning. It's not. It depends on the 2 teams playing it. But in general, Chalet has kind of had the opinion of it that it is much easier to attack because of how easy it is to move through it. It's quite thin, although it's this weird like L shape, it is generally quite thin. No really ever more than 2 rooms wide. Doesn't mean there's much room for massive flanks. If you stick down a flank drone, for example, and a lot of soft flooring to play around too, all sorts of things really stack in its favour. We'll see how G2 can attack on it, and Rogue My eyes turn to them now to see what creative ideas they've got. You might look at Mute Mozzie and go, not really creative, but against the Rotero drones coming out of Hungary, might just be the perfect medicine.
Well, this is exactly what I mean. It's, as attackers, if ever you're going to get pulled apart, if ever you're going to find yourself playing as individuals, it is usually on the attack, because you're having to adapt, you're having to change your strategy as you go, depending what you come up against. As a defender, everything is pretty much already preset out for you. You're going into it saying, right, this is the strategy that we're playing. Everybody knows their role, and as a team, you should be able to work together much easier. So, Rogue already seem to have resolved that problem that they've had recently on the attack. So there's nothing to say that it shouldn't still be the case here on defence, and it could be a tough one for G2 to try and crack. Now, Cryan and Aces, they are playing around underneath. They have
Skulking in the elbow corridor.
both got nitros, which is the important factor that I was looking for. They have got the potential to deny from underneath, but also not just about the plant denial. It's about this, getting aggressive sometimes, playing it onto a window, playing it onto a location where you know that there's a man pushing, and just getting that cheap free kill.
I remember Vitality on this map actually last week when they had Rise on this window. He got a kill across into Piano, and straight away the response from below was the C4 to come singing up through that window. So G2 are very well versed in doing this themselves on the defense. Now Rogue are the ones looking to employ it against G2. So good how there's that kind of cross-learning coming in, I guess, from looking back and studying their games.
2 ADSs cleared out there, but unfortunately for G2, they won't get the deployable shield, which is up out of the way of that explosion on top of the Piano, but they have now cleared that out with a second explosive. Jonker gets the kill onto Corey as well. Perfectly played there, just clearing the shield and moving in for the second, but look how aggressive Rips gets. Does not give Jonker a second to settle as he moves in, plays him a tune and shuts him down by the Piano. That leaves us 4 versus 4 now. Rips, he's on about half health here, but so is Virtue. All very level as we come into the final minute.
No, nothing really worth shouting home about, I'd say, for either side when you're looking at that 4 versus 4. The defender side still got 2 C4s to play with, so keep a very close eye on them. I think one just came out from Aces, connects onto no one, and the other one dies. They've lost both of those in the flash of an eye. Citizen bringing down one. Hungry, the second, a 4 versus 2. Rips trying to find one with the spray through into Office, but does not connect with the target. One is down beyond the Piano. You got the right idea. It is Hungry. A double kill in the round for Rips, and one more on the window. Does he know? He sees the man. A 3K. Leon to bring it back, and Rogue might have just swung this back in their favour. A 4 versus 2, down to a 2 versus 1. Kayak with it all to do. 15 seconds on the clock, and a round that I'm sure he really wants his team to walk away with the winner here. Sees one. Does he know about the Maestro on the other side of this window? Tries to step round, sees the man, gets the spray down. Kayak with a big 2v1.
Where did that come from? Great finish there from Kayak, and that round just flipped and flopped backwards and forwards. He's just on what?
And what, mate?
No problem. 1v2, yeah.
What?
Bring it on.
Don't you stress about, guys. To go from a 4 versus 2 into a 2 versus 1 and to then still win the 1v2 is pretty magical. Rogue will look at that round and probably be saying, that's one of the ones that we really should be winning, as I imagine there's a tactical timeout coming in for Rogue here. Yeah. I think that round's a bit of a kicker because, again, you know you've done all the right things. You've got a 4 versus 2. You've dealt with both C4s. There's no big threat anymore. Oh, easy. Just plant and we win, especially after Rips pulled off what he did. Only for Kayak to then clutch it back.
It's a tough one to take as a loss. There's no two ways about that, and it's no surprise. I mean, actually, it's G2 that have called the tactical timeout, I believe. So coming out, they've got the round, but it was close. And then they're looking at it thinking, right, now's the time. What do we need to do from here? Yeah. Because we can't keep winning 1v2. We can't keep winning 2v4.
Oh, great Oracle, I have a question of your stats. How many 1vx's has Kayak got this stage? Because I know he was quite high. And the reason I ask is because I remember Pengu had 6 when he used to be on the team. And look, we can say all day long, you can't compare the two players. They're in a similar, not really a similar role, but a similar-ish sort of role. And people are always wondering how he's stacking up against him. I'm really keen to know what his 1vx stat is, because that's just gone up by +1 because of that. I think he might be at least pushing towards, if not over that 6 mark, which is incredible.
6 in, how many did he get there? He's got 5 before today.
So now he's on 6.
No, he's got 3 before today.
3 before today, fair enough.
He's got 3 3Ks so far. An interesting stat, just looking above that, I knew exactly who it was going to be. Citizens on 7 at the minute.
7 1vx's.
Oh, no, 1vx's. Sorry, you weren't
Yeah,
asking me about
1vx.
multi-kills. Sorry, Kayak has got no 1vx's so far.
Really?
This stage. That's his
Stage
first one.
Must be stage one I'm thinking of.
That's his first one. We've got, interestingly, Hungary's actually got 2 1v3s so far
Blimey.
in stage 2. And we've got 2 1v2s for Virtue. They are the only 1vx's on the side of G2, not including today's game.
Well, he's got one now. Be happy about that.
Oh, I'm very happy
It must
about
have been. It must have been back in stage 1 where he had like the 5 or 6 on the board. But I remember
Yeah, he
being
did.
like, wow,
he
really
definitely,
stepped up.
he definitely had more back in stage 1.
This was an awkward gunfight because, you know, the Alder spraying at you there, you're going to be nervous as all hell. Fires a good few bullets and it does take a fair few chunks out of you as soon as they start connecting. But Kayak has the composure, wins it out for the team. 4-3 then to G2 as we go into round number 8. This time around we are attacking onto the downstairs, I believe, kitchen and dining. We've seen numerous times how Rogue set up to attack this one. There is no Kaid on the side of Rogue to deny the wall, but we are looking towards, again, that Mute and Mozzie. So that just screams to me that what we're really wanting to see coming out of Rogue is that denial of information. They want to slow G2 down, make them a little bit less confident in what they're doing. Sure, they've got the Lion and the Iana on side for extra information collection, but the more you can take away from them, hopefully, the slower they'll be and the less harder they'll hit you.
Back in stage 1, Kayak had 6 1vx's.
Yeah, I thought he had quite... I know it was a stage that he had a good number.
4 1v1s, a 1v2 and a 1v4.
Wow. And his 1v4 was the miraculous
Never to be forgotten.
Echo clutch on Consulate.
So back in the game at hand, round number 8. We are a minute in here. G2 have got themselves a little lead now. They've got onto the attack, taken their first round, and they're going to look to build some momentum. That's 2 rounds in a row for them. They took round 6 as well. So Rogue need to be careful here, and it would be understandable for that last round to sort of hit them hard because, as you said, as it did look like they were on top of things, it certainly went their way through the mid-round, but G2 were able to somehow bring it back and get it over the line. This time around, it looks like we are attacking onto kitchen and dining. So there will be a battle over the top floor. We can see from the silhouettes that there are a number of Rogue players upstairs. Jonker's going to make it one less as he finds a kill onto Cryan.
Here we go. This is the spot we saw from Yonka last time around. He did get sprayed down here by Rips, who just kind of rounded the corner, went back into office, came onto office doorway, master doorway, sorry, and then just sprayed him down, and that was that. This time around, looks like there might be a rotate coming off towards bathroom instead. So Rips, in a pretty interesting position here, could get the one-up on Yonka, who's playing down behind the piano. That could neutralise things out at 4 apiece. But Hungry, drone coming in at least will give them an idea as to where they are. No problem, no harm, no foul.
Just using that upside-down rappel on the Solarium window. In comes the EE1D scanner just to try and lock those defenders in place for a short time. Jonker moves along with it. The push well-timed but poorly executed as it's Rips who manages to flip 180 and find the headshot onto Jonker despite the pressure that was coming his way, levelling things out at 4 versus 4. Corey does take some damage before Kayak is the one to finish him off. G2 in the advantage once again. 30 seconds left to go and they need to be thinking about getting into sight and getting a diffuser down. Let's not forget, this entire battle, Des, is happening on the top floor. We're going onto a kitchen dining side.
Yeah, and I think Rogue here acknowledged that and said, well, look, we could sit and try and press our luck by holding upstairs for longer, or we can drop our way back down to site, as now they're into a 4 versus 2. So consider that luck pressed a bit. But 10 seconds, it becomes the third man here for Rogue, making it a 4 versus 3 if you want to look at it that way. I'll make it a 1 versus 4. At this point, Ace is alone on site, has had very little to do this round except try and fight it out. Sprays down the plant and drops himself away. Hungry just managing to get that diffuser going down. Up comes Ace. He sees the man. No way! Oh my god, he's so close to it, but Citizen whiffs the shot. Citizen rounds the corner, connects. That is going to be another one of those rounds the Rogue will be lamenting they didn't get the win on. 2 huge clutch rounds for G2.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a couple of those moments that Rogue are going to look back on after this game and think...
Why in a couple of minutes, mate? Just do it now in the tactical timeout they're calling in.
You know, this should have gone differently. That round in particular, I think there was a good battle going on. It was, as you say, 4 versus 4 with 30 seconds left to go, and they start dipping back and then just lost man after man.
Ace, it was another 4 versus 2.
Yep.
Another. Well... As they say, it happens sometimes. That to me was one of those ones where you come up on the corner, you see the man, and you just know it takes 1 bullet to win the round 1. And instead you trace the whole man's outline, don't actually hit the man, and then Citizen swings for the close down. The fact that Citizen was there to me just suggested they knew that was a likelihood rotate to come in once he dropped down through the hatch.
Yep.
Just 1 bullet to end it all. That would have been the difference, but unfortunately not. Instead, G2 find themselves up at 5-3. You would argue after the last 2 rounds, Rogue could be the ones at 5-3. And you'll look back at this game, potentially in Stage 3, and we'll be saying, remember that game on Playday 8 of Stage 2? Imagine if that had gone Rogue's way. If they got those 2 rounds and got the 3 points, they may not be the team staring down the barrel of a bottom 2 finish in Stage 3.
The problem that Rogue have got now is that G2, they'll be able to taste that Mexican major, Des.
What does it taste like?
I mean, I love Mexican food, so I'm sure it tastes fantastic, is all I can say. It's one of my absolute favourites. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I think, that's the thing for G2 now. They know that they are 2 rounds away from securing that position. No ifs, no buts, 3 points, solidly securing that position and continuing to fight for that top spot overall in EUL. So this gets more and more difficult with every passing second for Rogue now.
Well, no timeouts, no retries, no extra pauses. Here, it's straight through to the bitter end for one of these 2 teams. G2, the one currently with a massive advantage, being up at 5-3. But again, given the last 2 rounds, you'd say it's not a definitive lead, that there is a very great potential Rogue could swing their way back into this. Let's see how things shape up, though. Master and Off is going to be where our next site kicks off. And as demonstrated by our wonderful observer, you can see just how much utility the stacking inside of Piano. ADSs, the shields, the barb, the mute. So the alibis, the mutes are there as well. Everything to just say, you may not take control of Piano. We really like this Piano, and we'd like to keep it as, please.
Solarium windows being opened up by Kayak there on the Maverick, just as an option to allow them to apply some pressure. Just the fact that windows are open sometimes can be enough to just mean that they need to be monitored. You can't just take your eye off them. So Rogue will need to be aware of that. Jonker just going to hold this angle for the time being. I don't think he'll get too aggressive. He's just going to take the odd peek here and there and see if he can find any joy. But we see Crying taking a bit of damage, and this is the problem for me. Rogue, they're not really getting any joy out on the roam, Des. Every time damage goes anywhere near or from Aroma, it's being done to them, and they're just being hassled, they're being chased around, and usually being killed out. And that's been tough for Rogue on the defence.
There's a real art to roaming, and I'm not saying that, Crying isn't the latest Picasso or anything, right? But it's more that, at some point you're going to get droned out, you're going to get pressured, and the real beauty in roaming is when you back away. What can you get away with without losing your life, without expending valuable utility, and at the same time, can you burn it out the other side? Leon, looking for a bit of a cheeky run out here, he's going to go for it as well. We saw this one last week. He must have studied the VOD, but not quite enough to connect the kill onto Virtue there. Instead, taking about the same amount of damage himself. So like you say, all things equal when you look at it at the end of that little attempted run out.
It is, and this is largely what we've seen for the roamers and the extended position. I'm not sure that was intentional, as Hungry drops the Flores drone over the edge of the balcony and it will anchor itself in. But nonetheless, progress is being made as the main breach on balcony wall is opened up, giving a view into the plant spot at least. Kayak, he's just going to lay prone underneath there and see if he can get any joy with any of those explosives, throwing them in, see if he can catch somebody out, but he will be unsuccessful. 5 versus 5, and quite a slow round this one with only 40 seconds left to go.
It has been a little bit because of the kind of attempted roams coming out. Hungry, I think, changed his mind on where he wanted to be playing that C4. Again, we thought we might see something like this coming out. It's the sort of thing that got employed against him last week, or against G2 at least, so Rogue trying to repeat it. But not enough that it brings down the man on the rappel. Clearly, a little bit too smart for that one. The Citizen has managed to find his way up the elbow corridor here, finds one, with Hungry getting the second, and finally, Kayak is getting the plant down with 15 seconds still on the clock. That will complete, and now Rogue have got a stage off a retake. Surely, Ace, they cannot lose this one.
It's looking for all the day like this is going to be match point opportunity for G2, and that's going to be a nasty kill from Citizen. Jonker gets one as well, and it is all G2. Now they've got themselves onto the attack here. Not only is this match point, Des, this is Mexican major point.
It is, mate. Oh, I mean, for Rogue, again, you'll be lamenting those prior 2 rounds, but that one, zero argument, incredibly clean and clinical by G2. Planting with enough time left for things to still go wrong. Picked themselves off a couple of men on the entry to make sure it was going to be clean and simple. C4s had already been expended, for example, up onto the window. They knew there was very limited resistance left on the side of Rogue, and now they find themselves at 6-3. As you say, this is where we start talking about Mexico for the boys, and I imagine Hungry has got those nearby ready. Primed, the 2 maracas, the hat, this time appropriately celebrated. Imagine that's what he's laughing about right now, actually. They're saying, right, make sure you do it right this time, yeah?
He's probably saying, can we please make sure that we've qualified? I cannot go through another roasting on social media for going too soon.
But in every great roasting, there is also incredible memes that come out of it. That template now, where it's happy in the top and sad in the
That's
second.
a permanent template now. That's going nowhere. I'm sure Hungary's really glad about that.
I can't wait for that to be. When Mexico's kicking off, it is just going to be everywhere.
I've got to say, I fully support Hungary. I mean, he's a very nice guy. He actually was one of the players who messaged me on my birthday. He did have me to say happy birthday. So,
bless his soul.
you know, nice guy. And it was certainly a memorable moment from
I won't lie, I was genuinely really surprised when he got picked up by G2. I thought he was kind of done with Siege for a while, wasn't going to really play. And me and him were playing a certain MOBA game for a while together, and he was just saying, oh, you know, I'm enjoying some time off, and then suddenly, bam, I'm in G2, and I'm like, whoa,
hang on.
step up, bro. Like, okay, that's a sudden re-entry into the scene. And honestly, I was kind of concerned for, you know, both him and Yonka coming in. Can they kind of step up to the expectations they've had? I mean, Kayak done a wonderful job stepping into Pengu's shoes, but for Uno and for Kanto, can Yonka and Hungary do the same? I think in the first few days, maybe no was the answer, but as time has gone by, you've really seen them find their place in the team, and they're looking fantastic.
That's it, G2 at the minute. The thing with G2 for me, Des, is they look like a team that are having fun.
Yes.
And that last week goes to show to me the sort of mentality that's in there. And when you match up against these teams that are just having fun, they can be really difficult to beat, because if they're enjoying the siege and the confidence is there, Joystick said it in his interview earlier, this is a game where if you're confident, everything you try to do will just work because you're confident. And that is certainly how G2 look at the minute. We're 1 minute in to what could be the final round here, round 10. They've got themselves to 6-3. They're yet to lose an attack. Rogue's rounds have all come whilst they've been on the attack themselves. They haven't been able to get a successful defence. Cryan has taken an absolute ton of damage in the early round. I said it, Des. The Roamers are just having absolutely no joy here, and in comes the pressure. Virtue looking to just double team them with Citizen. Kayak it is that finds a kill onto Aces. That still leaves Cryan low health. This is not looking good for Rogue.
I imagine at this point, if you're Rogue, you're feeling a little bit rattled by this. You've basically got a dead man walking in Cryan. You've already lost one. Call it a 5 versus 3.5 if you really want. Make it a bit worse. Corey caught out by a frag, and now you can see the starting setup coming out from G2. They really want to get this plant down. They want to close it out here and guarantee themselves that spot in Mexico. As Cryan up on the top floor wants to contest, but there's a man on the upside down rappel just daring him to step round that corner, and there it is. It's the easiest shutdown of Yonka's life. 4 versus 2. This should be done and dusted for G2 in the final 60 seconds.
Leon gets one in and amongst the horror right now that is this G2 attack if you're a Rogue fan, but it's likely to be too little too late. Leon taking damage as he moves himself back into sight, but Rips finds a nice headshot onto Citizen. We have Toxic Babe canisters coming out just to try and prevent Kayak moving in through that window, but with Hungry working his way from the upstairs as well, this could be dangerous.
Leon's got the FMG, by the way. I've just spotted it. It really made me laugh that already Citizen is starting a trend for smoke players everywhere. Let's see how this one shapes out, though. 3 versus 2, as you say. 30 seconds to go. You've got to get a move on now, G2, if you want to close this one out. Whilst you've got the numbers advantage, keep a close eye on Rips because he's got that C4 in back pocket as well. Yonka setting up on the vertical, one hanging around by Split, and Rips darting in and around this elbow corridor, just trying to stop anyone pushing in. There comes Leon, one with the FMG, but he's now stuck in a 1 versus 2. Sees the man, but Yonka hitting a wicked shot onto his head, bringing the game to a close, and that'll be G2 securing their spot at the Mexican Major. 4 straight rounds in the second half.
We've got no celebration attire from Hungary today.
Get it on, bro.
I can guarantee this time that G2 have made it to the Mexican Major. That is it. They have qualified and they keep themselves fighting for the top spot. I think overall we had a very tight first half where Rogue were impressive on the attack. The teamwork, they've certainly put some time and effort into that. You could see it. It was clicking. It was working well. But ultimately, G2 just had too much today. It's as simple as that.
It's like I say, I think they've gone back and looked at what G2 have done. The use of the Flores drones in the first half, team play, phenomenal, but second half, a couple of rounds which they'll lament, no doubt, but for G2, I think a very well-deserved win. Now, Hungary might not have the hat to celebrate, but I know someone who does. His name is Milos, and he's on the desk with our analysts.
Thank you so very much, Des. And yes, we do have the hat